Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, federal government to utilize $800 million World Bank grant as fuel subsidy removal palliatives. Scramble for National Assembly leadership position gathers momentum as minority caucus meets to forge common front. 10 killed, 50 houses razed during attack on Kogi community. And on the international scene, Zimbabwe to investigate gold smuggling after Al Jazeera expose. Hello and welcome to a News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Now the news in detail. Despite it being on the way out, the Buhari administration has resolved to end fuel subsidy by June and has begun moves to make the impact less stressful for the citizens. To this end, the World Bank has granted the Nigerian government $800 million to put up a comprehensive palliative scheme for its citizens before the removal of fuel subsidy by June 2023. Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed revealed this on Wednesday while briefing newsmen at State House Abuja after the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council meeting. Kehinde Amodu reports.
Officials of the outgoing government are already engaging with the newly established Presidential Transition Council and the incoming administration with a view to driving the palliative program. But the mode of implementation does not depart from the distribution of palliatives to a targeted 10 million households or 50 million vulnerable Nigerians in the first instance.
When we're working on the 2023 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and the Appropriation Act, we made that provision to enable us exit fuel subsidy by June 2023. We're on course. We're having different stakeholder engagements. We've secured some funding from the World Bank. That is the first tranche of palliatives that will be that will enable us give cash transfers to the most vulnerable in our society.
Meanwhile, ahead of May's National Population Census, the Cabinet approved the award of the contract for the supply and installation of information and communication technology components for the 2023 population census at a sum of 10.9 billion naira.
Another contract that was approved for the NPC, National Population Commission, is for the contract for the development and the implementation of mobile device management solution for the personal digital assistance devices to be used for the 2023 population census. This is in the sum of about 4.4 billion naira.
Also on Wednesday, the Council of Ministers approved contract for 4 roads in Kwara State under the tax credit program covered by Executive Order 7. The total distance of the 4 roads is 283.938 kilometers, and it will be constructed by a leading cement company whose operations are impacted by the state's road network supply. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
The House of Representatives Minority Caucus has met to forge a common course as the battle for who leads the 10th Assembly gathers momentum. The meeting is at the instance of the old members of the opposition parties led by the People's Democratic Party. The report.
The race for the leadership of the 10th National Assembly, particularly the Green Chamber, may have just started, with the opposition rallying support for the newly elected House of Representative members across 7 political parties under the auspices of the Minority Caucus. The meeting led by Frederick Agbegi is to call on members-elect to forge a strong opposition that will put the ruling party on their toes.
Not only to represent our people, but see Nigeria as one constituency where our contributions should make life meaningful to all. This session is to enable us to network, interact, and familiarize ourselves as people that the results of 2023 general election has thrown up as a new face, having numbers that gives us greater strength to deepen opposition politics and democracy.
Take two. In their response, representatives of the 7 opposition parties pledge commitment and cooperation among their political parties, irrespective of the security or the ratio of the alliance.
I believe that we are all minorities coming together for common purpose to stand firm for overall benefit of us, irrespective of seniority, considering also the ratio in alliance. I stand here on behalf of 34 strong, vibrant member-elects of LP, believing that this bonding shall attract evenly mutual benefit to us in this 10th Assembly.
But before we get there, we must unite. If we do not unite, they say a house divided against itself cannot stand. With unity, we can accomplish a lot. Harmony, peace, progress, and we can not only empower our constituencies and our constituents, those whom we look up to, but we can ensure that we play our role as a vibrant opposition.
For us to be able to put through our collective interests, for us to be able to protect our ideals as minority parties that fundamentally serves as a check to the ruling party, for us to be able to contribute to nation building, we must come together.
It's not going to be business as usual. The Nigerians there, they want us to make that difference they've all been yearning for. And that is what this 10th Assembly is going to deliver to the people. So let's get ourselves together, irrespective of our differences, and let's pursue one cause. Together, this 10th Assembly is going to make that difference.
The 7 political parties present are the People's Democratic Party, PDP, New Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, Labour Party, LP, All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, Social Democratic Party, SDP, African Democratic Party, ADP, and the Young People's Party, YPP.
Similarly, the race for the speakership of the 10th National Assembly may be beyond the control of political parties, as contenders for the post employ different strategies beyond zoning to realize their ambition. Trustee Vice Shafiu Suleiman examines the current standing of political parties in terms of the numbers and how key contenders are scheming to grab the leadership of the House of Representatives. The report.
Unlike the 9th Assembly, which was dominated by members of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, and the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, various political parties have won election into the lower legislative chamber, making the ruling party to maintain a slight majority. The ruling APC gets 162 seats in the House of Representatives, while the PDP secures 102 seats, with Labour Party trailing behind with 34 seats. NNPP gets 18 seats, followed by APGA with 4. SDP and ADC get 2 each.
But don't forget again, we have to consider what you call zoning. And because now Nigeria has to, we want to bring everybody together. And the zoning is going to come into play as well. Now, as a party member, we're still waiting for the direction of the party on zoning. So if any zoning of the leadership comes out, I think we'll be able to follow it to the latter.
The interest of Mr. President, because there is no way any sitting president will ignore who preside over his parliament. Number 3, relationship between the aspirant and members, the level of trust and confidence the members will have on the aspirants. See, let me tell you what people don't understand. In the parliament, everybody is being studied. Your relationship in the past, how do you relate with the members?
The current Deputy Speaker, Ahmed Wase, Aliyu Betara, Tunji Olawi, and Benjamin Kalu have so far joined the contest.
Federal House of Representatives is House of the People, 360 members for their different federal constituencies. So we need someone, the leadership in someone who's going to bring everybody together, notwithstanding the religion, notwithstanding the ethnicity. So we need somebody, a leader in somebody who's going to drive cohesion.
It's not about the numbers of years spent in the National Assembly. It is the number of activists. It's the role you play, one, on the floor, the role you play as committee chairman, and the role you play even during other legislative activities.
A careful consideration of the numbers put the APC, with already half of the elected House of Representatives members, in an advantaged position. However, A strong alliance of the remaining political parties who constitute the second half could also undermine the ruling party's chances of clinching the seat. Contenders for the speakership position are reaching out to stakeholders and the power brokers, seeking endorsements and assurances, but who picks the gavel remains to be seen. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Chairman, Senate Committee on Army, Muhammad Ali Ndume, has indicated interest to run for Senate presidency seat in the 10th National Assembly. The lawmaker, in a statement on Wednesday, said his bid for the office would be determined by fair zoning arrangements by the leadership of the ruling All Progressives Congress, which had secured majority seats in the parliament. He said he's the most ranking and experienced senator among those who had indicated interest in the position. He also urged the party leadership to throw the race for Senate presidency open, just like it did during the APC presidential primary. Ndume said zoning elective positions is not good for the country's democracy, urging the party to allow lawmakers decide their presiding officers. Senator Ndume, in the statement, also unveiled his 10-point agenda that will shape his Senate presidency if elected. Police in Plateau State have sealed the House of Assembly complex following ongoing speakership crisis. A team of anti-riot policemen arrived at the Assembly complex early morning and barricaded the main entrance. Even though the police command is yet to issue an official statement on the action, Daily Trust learned that it is not unconnected to the brewing crisis among members of the House of Assembly. The House is divided into two factions, with one loyal to the current Speaker Yakubu Sanda and the other loyal to the reinstated Speaker Ayuba Abok, who was impeached in October 2021. A court had reinstated Abok on Monday, and on Tuesday he stormed the Assembly to take charge. Still in politics, the candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party for Doguwa Tudunwada Federal Constituency, Salisu Yusha'u, has filed a motion on notice and a petition seeking an order to stop the Independent National Electoral Commission from conducting the supplementary election for the constituency on April 15th. He approached the National Estate Houses of Assembly Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Kano through the motion on notice, seeking an order to stop INEC from conducting supplementary elections in the constituency. The petitioner's lawyer, Adeboyega Awomolo, said it was in pursuant to Section 24, subsection 6 of the Electoral Act 2022 that the motion on notice was filed before the tribunal, seeking an order directing the Commission to maintain status quo ante bellum, particularly with respect to the conduct of the rerun supplementary elections scheduled to hold on 15th April 2023. Relying on the strength of Section 24, subsection 6 of the Electoral Act 2022, the lawyer submitted that INEC cannot conduct supplementary election in the constituency as the decision of the Commission is being challenged at the tribunal by their client, adding that going ahead with the supplementary election may have the effect of foisting upon the tribunal a situation of complete helplessness. A Federal Capital Territory High Court has issued an order restraining the National Chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, National Secretary Farouk Ibrahim, and two others from parading themselves as national officers of the party. Others stopped from parading themselves as national officers are the National Organizing Secretary, Clement Ojukwu, and the Treasurer, Oluchi Okpara. Justice Hamza Muazu issued the restraining order while ruling in an ex parte application argued by a James Onoja. In an application, Onoja told the court how the restrained national officers allegedly forged several documents of the FCT High Court to carry out unlawful substitutions in the last general elections. In a brief ruling, Justice Muazu held that the application and the supporting affidavits are a good case for the request to be granted. The judge subsequently ordered that the four people should immediately stop parading themselves as national officers of the Labour Party. Moving away from that story, plots to truncate democratic transition and impose an interim government in Nigeria continues to receive condemnation, and the latest comes from this group of young Nigerians who kicked against the agenda, urging all aggrieved politicians to seek legal redress if not satisfied with the conduct of the 2023 elections. Noel Sampson has more of the details.
Since the Department of Security Services said it uncovered plots to shuttle the inauguration of the incoming administration on May 29th, and in its stead pleased an interim government, many critical stakeholders, including members of the House of Representatives, have condemned the plot, asking security agencies to arrest the plotter. These young Nigerians are also adding their voices of condemnation and caution, saying there is no need for interim government in the country.
The calling of interim government is violating the right of the citizens that voted in the country and violating the Constitution of Nigeria. So the election was done now. Then the winner has emerged. So we're all waiting date of to sell them in. So I think those people that are agitating to bring interim government or to cancel the election, they are not doing it for the good of the Nigerians. They are doing this to create problem for Nigeria.
The agitation for interim government, they said, is from enemies of unity, peace and democracy, and they say should not be given a chance.
We held that election and we have a winner, which is His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu. And it was a credible election, and other elections we've had in the past in Nigeria, whenever we have losers, they go to court and it's left. So why is this different, that the matter has been taken to court and they are already preaching interim government? Of what use it doesn't make sense.
So I don't think there is any need for an interim government. Interim government can only come in when there is crisis or when there is agitation or when there is a protest that will allow other government to come into power. I think that is when interim government will be allowed. They are just being desperate about power. But to me, since ever in the history of Nigeria, this is the best and the credible election we've had so far. So there is no need for interim government in this issue.
Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima will be inaugurated as president and vice president when tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari expires on May 29th. 28 state governors will also take oath of office same day. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Thank you, Noel, for that report. Now, members of the People's Democratic Party in Rivers State continued their protest in Port Harcourt, the state capital, at the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission over the inspection of materials used in the last general elections. They have also called for the arrest of the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Tonye Cole, over alleged murder. The report.
More State Assembly members, including the Leader of the House, Martins Amewule, alongside the Deputy Speaker, Edison Ehie, and Chairman of Ikwere Local Government Area, Samuel Wanosike, joined the protest and demanding the arrest of the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate Tonye Cole for alleged murder. They are accusing Cole of leading thugs to attack them during the protest on Monday, allegedly leading to the death of one person.
In furtherance of this, we present to you this document, which is from the People's Democratic Party, PDP Rivers State. It reads, the Rivers State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Independent National Electoral Commission, plot 236 Aba Road, Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Sir, application for the certified true copies of the following documents. Form EC8 series, A, B, C, D, and E. Form 40G series, 40G, 40G sub 1, and 40G sub 2.
They said the party has submitted a petition to the Commissioner of Police seeking the arrest and prosecution of Cole.
Tonye Cole cannot kill Nigerians as ants. He killed Nigerians in Abonima in 2019, and Nigerians still can sweep under the carpet. Tonye Cole have seen it as a usual pattern to kill Nigerians because he wants to be governor. A man that came from Brazil and stole Rivers State $50 million, which we are prosecuting him for. Tonye Cole is desperate, and in desperation, we will not allow him kill all of us. For killing a Nigerian yesterday, Tonye Cole must be arrested today by the Nigerian police. Because we don't know what to tell the family. of the dead PDP supporter. The wife and children are crying at the hospital. Why must we continue to fold our hands and allow criminals who stole our money because they are using tongues in arms? Nigerian police must rise on the occasion. If they're impartial. We are ready to die for our rights. We are ready to die to defend our mandate. Enough is enough.
Nobody is seeking for violence. What we want is nothing but justice, fair play by INEC, by security agencies, so that there will be peace. His Excellency the Governor is doing so much to ensure that there is peace in Rivers State. The peace in the state must be sustained. And the only way it can be sustained is when the right things are done. And we expect that INEC, security agencies, will rise up to the occasion and ensure that the right things are done appropriately.
The protesters said the protest will be sustained to avoid the repeat of the 2016 situation where evidence from the police was reportedly used to overturn the electoral victories of the PDP in the state at the appeal court, and a similar situation in Imo State, where Governor Hope Uzodinma was reportedly declared the winner of the governorship election on the evidence of the police.
Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has said Abuja-Kaduna Road project could not be completed during the lifetime of the Buhari administration because of the delays the project has suffered from. The minister said apart from banditry which chased contractors from the site, the project is also delayed by the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline project. Fashola said this at the pre-inspection of the completed Loko-Weto Bridge in Nasarawa State on Wednesday. The minister said the Lagos-Ibadan and Zaria-Kano expressways will be completed by April 30th. The minister listed some of the challenges unseen to members of the public, adding that both the road and the pipeline were important, hence decision had to be taken in sequence and order. Fashola commended the military for making it possible for contractors to return to site to continue the job. He, however, said they have made progress from Zaria to Kano, a 137-kilometer road, and by May 15th, the road should be fully completed and open to traffic. Road users in Benue State have appealed to the federal and state governments to rehabilitate roads in the state to ease transportation. According to the users, the roads are in sorry state and require immediate attention to ease intracity shuttles. Jimmy Adzande visited some of the roads in Benue State and now reports.
In Benue State, most of the federal as well as the state and local government roads are dilapidated. At some portions of the roads, youths were seen doing remedial work by filling the potholes to make the situation better for motorists.
Some motorists too used to complain that the road is too bad. Some motorists say that they will not use to run this highway road, this Bangu road. The road is too bad. They will not use to run it. They are inside the bus. So as they talk like that, the next day, when the next day I come and let me start to be patching this road small, getting what I will get, I will eat. So I start to patch that road on that one inside. So when I dig sansan and when I dig ground, I pack the sansan, used to cover the road, and people will appreciate that day that I start the work to park this road. Everybody, some motor used to park. See, God will bless you. Take this one. Some used to give me 500. Some used to give me 1,000.
The road users say plying the routes has become a nightmare, as they can hardly travel to their destinations without risking vehicular breakdown.
Something about it, but all of a sudden they are not taking it serious. So we are facing challenge. Many accidents are occurring this way. So that's the challenge we have on this road. We are pleading on them to help us by repairing the road. But still yet, we are pending. The road is very bad.
While appreciating the federal government for fixing the Abuja-Lafia-Makudi part of the Trunk A road, motorists appealed for an extension to other sections of the road.
To this extent, I must commend them that if they are going to hand over to the next administration, based on where they are now, we will also encourage the incoming administration that they will take up from where they have stopped so that they can link it to Enugu. Because from here to Alede now, Alede to Tupo, Otupo down to Otupa. That's another exit that is very, very bad portion of the roads, potholes here and there. So at the end of the day, if they are able to complete the road network, it will really help in the lifespan of a vehicle. Maybe you have a vehicle that you are supposed to use it for 7-8 years because of the bad road. Before you know, after 2 or 3 years, you'll be thinking of changing the vehicle. It must have affected the spring, the body network.
Some parts of the roads need rehabilitation. Other parts may require total reconstruction and dualization to accommodate the rising vehicular traffic on the routes.
The Kaduna State Government has approved the reinstatement of 1,288 public primary school teachers sacked in June 2022 after the conduct of a competency test. The Public Relations Officer of the State's Universal Basic Education Board, Hawa Muhammad, made this known in a statement on Wednesday. Muhammad explained that 1,266 teachers were affected by the competency test, while 22 others were removed from the government payroll for alleged unproven claims. In June 2022, the board sacked 2,357 primary school teachers over a competency test. The board had explained that of the figure, 2,192 teachers were dismissed for their failure to sit for the test, while 165 teachers were sacked for poor performance. The spokesperson therefore advised all affected teachers to collect their reinstatement letters from their respective education secretaries immediately. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, how the dead scramble for space in Kano Cemetery. Tuesday.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. It's still News Hour on Trust TV. Here's a recap of our stories. We told you that federal government utilized $800 million World Bank grant as fuel subsidy removal palliatives. We also heard that scramble for National Assembly leadership position gathers momentum as Minority Caucus meets to forge common front. In other news, the National Assembly is set to transmit to the President for assent the Constitution Alteration Bill 47 to enable the establishment of State Security Council. It is in line with the Authentication Act, as the bill has met the provision of Section 9, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution, following the compliance by Oyo and Zamfara State Houses of Assembly. Our National Assembly reporter filed in the report as presented in our studio.
The State Security Council, when established, shall have the governor as the chairman. Other members include the State Commissioner of Police, the chairman of State Council of Traditional Rulers, state commissioners in charge of internal affairs and security, and other persons the governor may at his discretion appoint. The council shall advise the state governor on matters of public security, as well as organizations and agencies established by law for ensuring security.
Also recalls that houses of assembly of Gombe, Jigawa, Kebbi, Kwara, Plateau, Sokoto, Taraba, Zamfara states that were yet to forward their resolutions were urged to do so in compliance with constitutional obligations. Aware that Oyo and Zamfara states houses of assembly have accordingly forwarded their resolutions. Convinced that with the approval of Oyo and Zamfara states houses of assembly, the Constitution 5th Alteration Bill number 47, establishment of State Security Council, has made the provisions of Section 9 subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution for passage.
The various state legislatures are showing reluctance in passing them, as well as other bills. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I remember that it's about close to 1 year when these bills were dealt with. The same thing with the local government autonomy bill, the various legislations we have passed. If we are not able to establish state police, Mr. Speaker, let us do the minimum and have a body that is recognized by law that can deal with matters of security. And that is the only way, Mr. Speaker, we will not be shifting the goalpost, looking for who to blame at any point in time.
There are some bills that possibly, if the administrators that have not passed yet their own submission, if they're able to do, we may gain again on other areas. For example, the alteration that has to do with local government autonomy. There could be deciding factors, and it's my plea and appeal. I will join him to appeal to those states to also act. And it will not be out of sight, out of order for us who are coming from those states to again appeal to those states to consider some of the bills that are before them. Thank you very much. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's a bit.
The House equally urged state houses of assembly, which are yet to forward their resolution on bills, to do so in fulfillment of their constitutionally imposed legislative obligation to the Constitution amendment process.
Now let's move on to security. A resident of Aloko Oganeniju in Dekina local government area of Kogi State, David Abimaje, says the gunmen that invaded the three communities last Sunday killed 10 people and set ablaze over 50 houses. Abimaje disclosed this on Wednesday while speaking to journalists at Aloko Oganeniju during the visit of the state governor to the community over the ugly incident. Given the breakdown of casualties, Abemaji said 5 people were picked up dead in Aloko Oganeniju, 3 in Edede community, and 2 others from Ojole community after the incident. According to him, the attackers were advancing to unleash terror on the people of Ojoakpata, Ojole, and Ubaobu communities before the reinforcements of the military entered the areas. Governor Yahaya Bello, who visited the Aloko Oganeniju on Wednesday for an on-the-spot assessment of the incident, charged security agencies in the state to investigate the causes of the attack in 3 communities in Dekina local government area to unravel the perpetrators and make them face the full wrath of the law. The Commissioner of Police in Plateau State, Bartholomew Onyeka, says he has arrested the officers alleged to have killed a 17-year-old trader, Ibuchim Ofezie, in Jos. The sales boy was killed by a stray bullet from police patrol operatives attached to C Division of the command when they were dragging with a cyclist to dispossess him of his motorcycle. Ado Musa completes the report.
The killing of the 17-year-old had generated tension and protest against the police, a development that forced the police command to redeploy personnel to C Division. At a briefing at the command's headquarters on Tuesday, the spokesperson of the State Police Command, DSP Alabo Alfred, said the commissioner has arrested the officers and assured that the culprits will be dealt with accordingly.
Continue to deal a devastating blow on criminal elements in the state. We will not relent our effort to rid off repulsive and criminal-minded officers among us, whose conduct are inimical with the image of the force. As I speak with you, all the 5 police officers of C Division who were allegedly involved in the recent killing of the 17-year-old innocent trader Ibushim Ofeze at the Jos Terminus main market have been arrested and are being investigated thoroughly by the State Criminal Investigation Department, CID Jos, of the command.
While disclosing the arrest of the officers, the command, however, paraded some criminals alleged to have committed various crimes in the state, including a suspected killer of one Ruth Bako who killed his victim before raping her.
Perpetrators are arrested and made to face the consequences of their criminal actions through the laid down legal processes in our nation. It also interests you to know that on the 10th of December 2022, a very gory incident happened on the plateau where one Ruth Bako of Angwang, Jarawa, Peringada, Jos was brutally murdered, where she was stabbed severally, raped, and our perpetrators scattered away with some of our properties. Police operative of Laranto Division of the command, led by CSP Pam Dauda Ishaya, swung into action and arrested one Ephraim Emmanuel M of Angwan Jarawa Peringada, Jos, with the victim's phone.
The command, however, assured residents of the state that it won't relent in its effort to get rid of criminal-minded people and officers whose conducts are inimical to the image of the force. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
The Taraba State Command of the Nigerian Police has confirmed the arrest and detention of a police inspector over an alleged killing of an innocent Nigerian. The trigger-happy police inspector is said to have cut short the life of his victim on Monday in Sibre village of Arokola local government area of the state. Making the confirmation at the command's headquarters on Tuesday in Jalingo, the police public relations officer Abdullahi Usman said the State Commissioner of Police Yusuf Suleiman has ordered for the immediate arrest and detention of the inspector. The inspector, who at the time of filing this report is said to have been cooling off in the command's custody, will be arraigned before the court as soon as investigation is completed. Aside from the inspector, policemen at the scene of the incident were also confirmed to have been arrested and detained alongside the culprit.
Yeah, there was an information who was, the command received an information that a police inspector who was on routine duty at the checkpoint around Sibre village outskirts of Jalingo he used his own rifle and then shot down a gentleman who was passing by the checkpoint. Even that one, the Commissioner of Police also called for investigation. As I'm telling you now, at the point of the report, the inspector has been arrested, and his own colleagues that were posted on the checkpoint, they are all arrested and then handed over to CID for also a clinical investigation to unravel why should they use these arms on an innocent soul. Because it says The Inspector General of Police, IGP Alkali Baba Osman, has called it PSC Dag MNI Sebar, have also called it any police officer who wrongfully used his arms on innocent souls shall face the wrath of the law. So to underscore this point, the Commissioner of Police, Taraba State Police Command, could not relent in his effort. He has called for the arrest of the inspector. Presently, investigation is ongoing.
Dandolo Cemetery, located within the precinct of Kano City, is believed to be the largest graveyard in the state. It is, however, becoming depleted as space for burial is rather scarcely available. In this report, Trust TV correspondent Idris Zibarin reports that people struggle to find space to bury their dead.
Located in Gorondusa quarters of Dala local government area of Kano State, Dandolo Cemetery is by extension the oldest burial ground dating back to over 500 years. It is said to be the resting place for many prominent religious, traditional and political leaders of Kano. History has shown that this our graveyard is more than 500 years old. And we have many religious leaders like Sheikh Muhammad Zara and Wali Mai Kalgo, all resting here. Unfortunately, this burial ground is now full, as people are being laid to rest in between graves, in most cases on top of other graves. According to the grave diggers here, modern structures surrounding the burial ground could not allow for expansion, and that government is doing little to ensure that the yard is extended. Like you see, the graveyard is full. There is no space. We are only managing to dig in between graves. At times we may come across someone, but sometimes we may not. For some Kano residents, the problem with graveyards in Kano is not only affecting Dandolo, but all over graveyards in Kano have run out of spaces. You see, the problem is that there are buildings everywhere here, which means there is no room for expansion, unless of course if government decides to buy some structures and convert them. Again, that's highly unlikely. Honestly, most of the graveyards in Kano are full. We are just repeating, but there are no more spaces to bury the dead. Go to Gorondusi, Taroni, and in fact all burial grounds in Kano. The story is the same thing. For the moment, many people in Kano have continued to express concern over the lack of burial space across the state and call on government to ensure the extension of these places before it's too late. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
On a sad note, Ladi Bako, wife of first military governor of Old Kano State, Audu Bako, has been buried in Kano. Ladi Bako died at Prime Specialist Hospital in Kano, aged 93. Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, and prominent people attended the burial prayer at the Emir's palace. Her husband, Police Commissioner Audu Bako, was appointed military governor of the Old Kano State by the Yakubu Gowon military government in May 1967. She is survived by her daughter, Zainab Bako, a one-time commissioner for environment in the state. Moving on, the Apapa Area Command of the Nigeria Customs Service has seized a large quantity of tramadol tablets in 14 containers of prohibited items such as vegetable oil, footwears, used clothing and unprocessed wood with a duty paid value of over 22 billion naira. The command also said it generated over 200 billion naira in 3 months. Abbas Ibrahim now reports.
Comptroller of Apapa Area Command of the Nigerian Customs Service, A.B. Mohammed, said they resolved to enforce government fiscal policies and extant laws and ensure that all import and export consignment transiting through Apapa port are duly examined, has been yielding results and stretching collaboration and timely sharing of credible intelligence with sister government agencies at the port.
Government make policies to defend the interests of its citizens. No country in this world that does not control the influx of cargo into its country. Here in Nigeria, government is doing its best. Security operatives are doing their best to make sure that we are compliant during the course of our importation. But we still have unpatriotic citizens or foreigners that are hell-bent to import these things despite the laws are clearly spelled out. Therefore, I'm seizing this opportunity to warn any intending importer that if you happen to import any of these items that falls among the import or export prohibition list, obviously, I'm assuring you that our hands are here waiting for you.
He said on Friday, 31st March, the command also uncovered a large quantity of 255 milligrams of tramadol tablet concealed in 2 containers, where 143,800,000 tablets of tramadol weighing 225 milligrams were discovered in 720 cartons weighing 10.3 tons, which originates from India, adding that the single seizure is valued at 21,600,000,000 naira.
We uncovered and intercepted a large quantity of 225 milligram tramadol tablets concealed in 2x40 food containers, where 143,800,000 tablets of tramadol 225 milligram was discovered in 720 cartons. This single seizure is valued at 21,600,000,000. We are on the lookout for those behind such unlawful importation, for their arrest, and soon we'll track them down and they will face the full wrath of the law.
Mohammed said the command recorded a total collection of 212,592,680,700 naira and 99 kobo, covering January, March 2023.
It has been a wonderful operation. We have blocked all loopholes, and we are doing our best to maximize generation and collection of revenue within the limits of the extant laws.
Abbas Ibrahim Alibi, Trust TV, Lagos.
Let's join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news.
The Debt Management Office says Nigeria's debt stock is increasing due to a combination of several factors, including borrowings and the continued issuing of promissory notes by the federal government. The Director General of the DMO, Patience Oniha, disclosed this on Wednesday. Addressing the country's total debt, Oniha said several loans have been contracted from multilateral and bilaterals, while the federal government keeps issuing promissory notes to settle obligations for which does not really have the revenue. Oniha said although borrowing is an accepted form to fund government activities, there should be revenues generated to support such. She also said the 77 trillion naira debt projection likely to be inherited before the end of the current administration can be surmounted with incentives that needs to be put in place to ensure borrowings equal balanced expenditure and sustained revenue. Inflation in Africa's biggest economy accelerated the most in Bauchi, Rivers, Ondo, Kogi, and Anambra in February on a year-on-year basis, according to the Consumer Price Index report. Bauchi, Rivers, Ondo, Kogi, and Anambra inflation rates were 24.4, 24.3, 23.9, and 23.9% respectively, all of which outpaced the headline inflation. Although the inflation rates in the various states decreased marginally on a month-on-month basis, they, however, remained the states with the highest inflation rate in January 2023. This is evident in the monthly diesel price report by the National Bureau of Statistics, as Bauchi recorded the highest price of diesel in February at 904 naira 30 kobo, while Ondo recorded the 7th highest price of diesel at 868 naira 33 kobo. Nigeria's headline inflation rate hit 21.91% in February, and food inflation accelerated to 24.35%. And finally, in stocks, the transactions on the floor of the Nigerian exchange on Wednesday closed on a bearish note, occasioned by 10.00% decline in the share price of Airtel Africa and other 13 stocks. The all-share index dropped further by 1.88% to close at 53,018.97 points. Investors' wealth plunged by 553 billion naira as market capitalization nosedived by 1.88% to close at 28.883 trillion naira. The market breadth closed negative as 11 equities emerged as gainers against 14 that declined in their share prices. An aggregate of 197 million units of shares was traded in 3,506 deals valued at 2.67 billion naira. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafor.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has written to the Chief Court Clerk in London, United Kingdom, over the trial of the former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, who was convicted of organ trafficking in the UK alongside his wife Beatrice. In the letter dated April 3, 2023, and addressed to the Chief Clerk, the Central Criminal Court, London, Obasanjo appealed to the clerk to intervene and appeal to the court and the government of the UK to be magnanimous enough to temper justice with mercy and let punishment that may have to come take their good character and parental instincts and care into consideration. While admitting to the implications of the Ekweremadu's actions, Obasanjo admitted that it is unpleasant and condemnable and cannot be tolerated in any sane or civilized society. He asked the UK to consider the very warm relations between it and the Federal Republic of Nigeria for his position as one of the distinguished senators in the Nigerian Parliament, and also for the sake of their daughter in question, whose current health condition is in danger and requires an urgent medical attention. On the foreign scene, the government of Zimbabwe says it will launch investigations into several people involved in gold smuggling and money laundering following the release of an undercover Al Jazeera investigation showing high-ranking officials involved in the illicit gold trade. Gold Mafia, a four-part series by the Al Jazeera investigative unit, shows, among others, one of Zimbabwe's highest-ranking diplomats offering to launder large amounts of money through illegal gold smuggling. Only 2 parts have been released so far, with parts 3 and 4 to be released on April 6th and 13th, but the investigation has led to shocked responses in Zimbabwe. In a statement released on Tuesday, the government said it takes the allegations raised in the documentary seriously and has directed relevant organs to institute investigations into the issues raised therein, noting that any person found to have engaged in acts of corruption, fraud, or any form of crime will face the full wrath of the law. The South African government on Wednesday revoked the national state of disaster declared in February to manage the electricity crisis. Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Thembi Nkadimeng, who announced the revocation, said the government will work through its Energy Crisis Committee to reduce the impact of power cuts using existing legislation and contingency arrangements. The ministry said the termination of the national state of disaster was with immediate effect. Declaring a national state of disaster was to give the government additional powers to respond to the energy crisis, including by permitting emergency procurement procedures with fewer bureaucratic delays and less oversight. Let's now join Adenia Jishafe for sports news.
Nine players have arrived Antalya in Turkey ahead of Super Falcons preparatory games against Haiti and New Zealand. The friendly games are put together to help the Super Falcons head coach Randy Waldrum perfect his strategy ahead of the FIFA Women's World Cup. Coach Randy Waldrum invited 23 players for the games, including Barcelona feminine striker Asisat Oshoala and long-time absentee Disara Oparanozie. The Super Falcons come open on Tuesday with 9 players, namely Yewande Balogun, Regina Otu, Exta Okoronko, Onome Ebe, Etimi Yene, Abiodun Deborah, Halimatu Ayinde, Vivian Ikechuku, and Glory Ogbonna. Coach Waldrum has arrived in Turkey while still expecting 14 players for the games. Nigeria opened the World Cup campaign with Canada on 21st July before taking on Australia 6 days later. The last group game versus Republic of Ireland takes place on 31st of July 2023. The World Cup kicks off on the 28th of July. And still in football, Former president of Peruvian Football Association, Manuel Borja Swan, has been banned from all football-related activities for life by FIFA for participating in bribery schemes. Osaka government body said on Tuesday. Swan was also ordered to pay a fine of 1 million Swiss francs, an equivalent of $1.10 million, for breaching articles in FIFA's Code of Ethics related to conflicts of interest, bribery and corruption, and offering and accepting gifts or other benefits, among others. FIFA said the sanction imposed on Borja Swan follows a previous decision rendered by the adjudicatory chamber in July 2019. The decision was announced by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, in April 2022 and referred back to the investigatory chamber of the Independent Ethics Committee. The adjudicatory chamber said it was comfortably satisfied that Swan, also a former member of the Combo Executive Committee and the FIFA Development Committee, had breached the Code of Ethics. FIFA also banned Bimo Wajasukata, president of Indonesia club Tira Persikabo, for 2 years after finding him guilty of acts of intimidation, coercion, threat and exploitation towards a player. Wajasukata's sanction is suspended for a probationary period of 3 years, and he must also pay a fine of 10,000 Swiss francs. That's Sport News. I'm Adeniyi Ajishafe.
And with that, we've come to the end of Trust News Hour. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.